very first guest joining Nancy and I, and Judy Cohen, our special guest co-host today on Big Blend Radio Summerfest shows, Angela Laws. She is an award-winning community manager for Trusted House Sitters, and go to their website, TrustedHouseSitters.com. So if you have pets, you know they're part of your family, and you're going to be traveling. A lot of us are starting, you know, the COVID thing is, you know, opening up. A lot of us are doing road trips, and so sometimes it's really cool to keep your pets at home. Maybe you have elder pets, maybe you have horses and things like that. So why not have someone come and take care of your home and your garden and your fur babies or your finned ones or feathered friends while you're gone? And so this is like a cool platform. But one thing, Nancy and I, we just joined, and you can check us out there. I think you can find our profile there. Go to TrustedHouseSitters.com. And this is more than this cool platform where house sitters and pet sitters find the pet owners. I don't like to say pet owners because it's like their family, and you don't own your family, do you? So,
their parents, pet parents.
Parents, there you go, pet parents. And everyone can connect. And so it's really a community more than here's this cool website with this cool program. So, again, check it out, TrustedHouseSitters.com. So we want to welcome Angela. How are you?
Hi, Lisa, Nancy, and Judy. I'm great, thank you. Thank you so much for inviting me to join your fabulous summer festival. And happy Father's Day, everybody out there.
Yes, yes. And I'm so excited. We found you, and we're like, we got to get her on the show. And then next thing you know, well, we're going to do this because we've been eyeballing Trusted House Sitters for a long time and going, we got to do this, we got to do this. And then all of a sudden it all just happened. And then we set up our profile. And then we found a place. We're like, look at this beautiful dog and this cool cat, and there's this whole story. And next thing you know, we connected with the owner over in Tampa, and next thing you know, we're going to Florida. And here we are in Colorado. We're like, well, we'll go to Florida. Look at the dog. Look at that beautiful poodle. And I have to say, next thing you know, we're chatting with her. Her name is the same as Nancy's name. See, so there's all these connections. And it felt like by the time we got off the phone, like we weren't on the phone for that long, but it felt like we knew her almost. Like, you know, there's this, it's a very interesting, different thing. Like, so what I was saying, Angela, at the beginning is like, this is far more than a website platform. This is a community. I can feel it.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we're a community and we're drawn together by animals, and that's what brings us together. And like you said, when you started to talk to Nancy in Florida, you realized you had so much in common, and that happens all the time. And so you start talking to, the pet parents coming, and by the time that you arrive at the house, you've had so much communication, and you've got to know them, and you've Skyped with them, that actually it's like you're inviting a friend in, and you're meeting a friend for the first time.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Now, Judy, I want to ask you, Judy, how many countries have you been to, do you think now?
Oh, I think it's probably close to, well, it's over 90. I don't know exactly the number, but hopefully it will continue to grow after this, our little bump in the road.
Yeah, and I know you do a lot of luxury, hotels. You do very off the beaten path, and you like to do, it's kind of like slow travel like Nancy and I.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's kind of
a lot of small ship cruising and off the beaten path destinations.
Would you like, I know you like your small, we're going to talk about the small ship cruising to Alaska and everything today, but would you, on the way to that cruising experience, go, let me go stay in someone's home and play with their fur babies in between time on my way there or on my way back or something to like kind of check out an area?
I had never truly thought about this, but now it's definitely on my radar screen. I would definitely do it. I'd have to make sure that I'm qualified. I wanted to ask Angela, what are the qualifications to be able to do this? What do you require of people to look after somebody else's treasured pets?
Okay, the way this works is the sitters that come to the site, they all have everybody has one thing in common, and that's their love of animals. Now, when you're talking about what qualifications, many of it's experience with animals. It's actually getting the right sit, and it's the sitters and the owners matching up, and everything becomes right. And that experience comes from, looking after your own pets, looking after other people's pets. And also we do have veterinary professionals on the site, but the experience and qualifications is, it's trust, it's responsibility, it's actually having that genuine love for animals. And it's at no time does the owner or the pet parent ever lose control about who they invite into their homes. And so by the time, there's a process that it goes through. So by the time that sitter, and you've chosen your sitter, you know it's the right person for your pets.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense.
I mean, like Lisa and Nancy said, they completed their profile, and that's what sitters do. Owners will go to the site and they'll check out profiles. That profile is a complete personal background, and it tells you what they've done, where they've been, the number of pets they've cared for, the type of pets. There's also reviews from previous owners, and you can look at those and read those, and I think that speaks volumes. I've been doing this now for 14 years, and I started because I lost my own pet, and it's that love of animals, but also the pet parent will tell you exactly what is expected of the sitters. And the sitters, we will have these conversations, and it's only when both sides are completely 100% happy with the arrangement that it's finalized. Up until that point, everybody has the choice.
And see, I like that because I think there is a responsibility on both sides, and it's not like, oh, yay, we get to go stay at someone's house for free and have a free vacation. It's as soon as you get involved in it, you realize, wow, and then you're making these cool connections. It's kind of like it is like matchmaking in a way, right, Nancy? Too. I mean, we're looking at Nancy wants to play with potbelly pigs.
Yeah, I want to babysit a potbelly pig.
Yeah,
I really do.
I know.
I've looked after 2 pigs. I've looked after pigs,
cool.
And they are so interesting.
Aren't they funny?
That's the wonderful thing with Trusted House Sitters. It's not just dogs and cats. I mean, there's so many animals that can't be boarded or can't be kennelled, and you don't want to do that anyway. And so when you're going away and you've got chickens and you've got rabbits and you've got even llamas or you want them looked after, and that's what happens. And the other thing to remember too is the sitters with Trusted House Sitters choose to do this for free. They don't charge. And the reason is they are care-oriented rather than, cost-oriented. For them, it's purposeful travel. It's living like a local. It's connecting with like-minded people, but it's the animals that come first.
That's cool.
One thing we thought was really cool, I know we know someone that was a house sitter actually back in Florida way long ago. And I think it's changed up a lot because we have communication. We have cell phones and texting and sending photos. So you can say, hey, look what your dog's doing, or your pig or llama or your alpaca, whatever it is. Hey, look what's going on. So there's that communication that can happen. But one thing, what drew us to your website is, number one, there is this professional accountability that happens. So if you're not good at either side is not good. I mean, if you go to someone's house and it's like a dump and not clean, or they're not taking care of their animals or something like that, you can do something, and you can let people know. And the one thing Nancy and I both said, was it kind of stopped us because until we found your site, was that people can, like, we know someone who went through house sitting, or pet sitting, I should say, and he was like, oh, so-and-so accused me of stealing a necklace or something like that. I can't remember. It was a long time ago. And so I always thought, gosh, even if you're, taking care of a friend's place, they could turn around and do something. So you kind of have this insurance that's built into this, right, so that it kind of puts that off. Like, this is really, like you said, the care-oriented. It's about that. And
absolutely. I mean, there's an insurance-backed guarantee, and all the details of that are on the site. And it's underwritten by a global insurer, Guardhog, and it covers property damage, theft, and public liability. As I say, all of the details are on the site. But the other thing to remember too about Trusted House Sitters is we have a membership services team. And that team is not in a far-flung country in a call center. They are actually employees of the company, and they work with our team. And when we are in the office, obviously we're not right now because we're all working remotely, but when we're in the office, that membership services team are in the office. The other thing to remember too is they are experienced pet and house sitters, and many of them are owners who've also engaged sitters. So any questions, at any time that they are there, and that support is really, really vital. I mean, because then you know that you've got something. If you need to go somewhere and find anything out, it's there. And then, of course, we've got all our social platforms, and we answer. We give support through Facebook and through Twitter and all of those. So you're right. I mean, every member signs a code of conduct. And we hold them to that code of conduct because it's trust. It's all about trust, and it's building that trust between both parties, and relationships grow. I think the really cool thing about this is I've made lifelong friends. I mean, I've made friends now that I go back to their homes as a guest, as a friend. In fact, I've got two pet parents that I first started sitting for, one in LA and one up in Bainbridge Island in Washington State. I have my own key to the home, and they tell me whenever I'm there, it's my house. And that all happened because I went and looked after their pets.
This sounds so
awesome.
wonderful. This sounds so wonderful. It sounds like a magical marriage, these really connecting of passion and pleasure and everything else. How long is the normal, is the average house sitting or pet sitting, Angela? Are they short term or longer?
You know what? They go anywhere from 2 days to a year. The longest one I did was actually 8 months in Spain, and I went to look after a rescued Doberman who was rescued in Dubai. And his owners took him back to Spain, and then they had to return to Dubai for 6 months, and obviously wouldn't take Bruno back with them. And so I went there and I looked after. I mean, I was in floods of tears when I left. I mean, because he became mine, But the other thing about this with pet parents that have somebody come in and look after, that's what we're there for. We go there and we probably give them more attention than their owners do, not because we love them anymore or anything, but because we don't have any distractions. We don't have to go to work. We're there simply to look after these animals. And with Bruno, he was ours, and I was in floods of tears, and I felt after 8 months he was mine. But you know what? When his owners walked back through the door, I was chopped liver. I mean, it was like, oh, wow, they're home.
Look, Nancy and I always talk about the importance of pets, like where we are now. We can hear, the howl, Nancy.
That poor little dog down the street.
Yeah, left alone all day. And
he howls all day, and he's so sad. He's so sad. So when we walk, we talk to him, and he gets all excited, and he runs around the yard like a crazy pet, But he just, the rest of the time, he's so sad. It's just...
he's left alone. He's left alone,
and he needs another pet to be with him.
And another thing, too, is when pet owners, pet parents join the site, in their membership too, they have access to a 24-hour veterinary helpline. It's obviously triage. It's not diagnostical. However, they can use that at any time. And then when the sitters go in for their sit, they have access to it too. So if they need advice or anything, that vet line is there.
That's
I
amazing.
love that because anything can happen. Like, okay, you're especially if you just started sitting a pet at a specific time, and anything can happen. It's like we're out in the West right now. It could be a snake bite or something. Anything can happen that you want to at least have that information. What were you going to say, Nancy?
Oh, I was just going to say, a lot of pets need medication. I remember being taught by a veterinarian how to give a cat a pill, and it's not that easy. so there's things like that come into play, because especially if the pets are older, they really need gentle care, and if they have to take medication, you really need to know how to do that.
Yeah.
We have, we care for many elderly pets, as you can imagine, because, it's well known that every animal is far happier in their own home. Excuse me just a minute.
Yeah, that's true. It is true.
But the other thing, too, is that we look after many elderly pets. And I remember we looked after a cat that was diabetic and needed insulin injections. Before we went there, I gave my husband an orange to practice on. My daughter is a veterinary surgeon. She's an ER and critical care vet. And so I've got sort of direct line to whatever. But we do. But the thing about it is that sitters will know all about this before they actually go to the sit. It's not like they'll be surprised about it. And if they don't feel able to take on that responsibility, then it doesn't happen. It's only when both sides are fully aware and fully able to say, this is right.
Yeah, I think that's what I really like about it, because it was immediate. Like when I talked to Nancy, in Florida, Nancy, and going there, and I couldn't believe, like, immediately I could see that, the dog is young, wants to get in the car, go and do things. The cat needs to be on the side and is elder, and so they're split up, and the cat is obviously kind of on the wild side because it was rescued out of, a hospital parking lot. So there's already these stories, and to me it was like immediately, like, Nancy and I are just, when we, we're whirlwind. I mean, when we get to a town, we're filming, interviewing, doing radio shows. There is really no sleep for 2 weeks at least, and then we need to work. And so I said, when we doing this, we actually need this sense of normalcy, and animals are part of it. There's something calming, just to be around them and to be able to care for an animal just feels, it's part of our human nature, right? Caring. And so I said, when we're there, we're just going to set up and go to work. And quite frankly, that's all we do is we're at the computer. We want to walk around, take care of gardens, play with dogs, and take them for a walk and all of that, So to me, that was part of this thing, was we're going to be there the whole day. Like, we're not going off and leaving the dog and just coming and, feeding and watering. Goes beyond that. And you get to know animals. Pets are family. They really are. We go visit friends, and it's like, we go see our friends. We're like, oh, we're going to go see Sarah the dog too, or Frappy, or, we always think about who we're going to see, but it's not just the people, it's the animals. So this connection.
That's true.
Yeah.
I think this is special. This is really, really special.
We have so many digital nomad members, and it is ideal world. It's the same as me. I work remotely all the time. I don't have a home. I pet and house sit all the time and work for Trusted House Sitters as well. And so, and the other thing for solo travelers, whether you're male or female, and no matter what age you are, if you're traveling and you want slow travel, and you want to travel alone, but you don't want to be alone, then what better way than going and staying somewhere? And we have an amazing sitter. She lives in Vancouver, and she goes pet sitting around the world, and she will only go and look after dogs. She loves cats, but she'll only go and look after dogs. And when I asked her why, and she said, well, because they get me out. And every time I go out, what are you going to do? The first thing you do is you meet people, and they want to say hi to the dog, and they say hi to me too. And she said, and I've met so many people that way. And it is, well, you've only got to be somewhere and you've got an animal. What do people who love animals do first? They don't talk to you. They talk to the one you're with.
Exactly.
And so it is an ideal lifestyle for those that love animals, want to slow travel, live like a local, and actually purposeful, and that's any age. That's from 25 upwards.
And listen, it's better than meeting men in a bar.
Well, alrighty then. Well, we're guilty of having a picnic in a dog park.
Yeah, we are. So now we can actually have a dog with us. See, Nancy and I are just like, okay. Well, I was thinking about this. We travel, we do this whole thing, getting all this footage, and we're always looking for parks from our eyes, and we're two women, two different ages, but we do it from our eyes, and then when we go to parks with other people, there's another perspective. When we went with a friend who's got his little daughter, it took me to this whole other perspective of the little girl seeing the flowers as fairy homes and all kinds of cool stuff. So that was magical.
Yeah, Angela, I so feel for this, living like a local and having a pet. I've been away so many times when I wanted to ask somebody if I could just borrow their dog. I just want to borrow your dog. I just want to walk your dog and be with your dog. And I really think that this is a great match for people who want to be away and still enjoy having an animal.
Exactly. And the other thing too, I mean, it's also an incredibly affordable way of traveling. I mean, if you're looking at the dynamics of it, for instance, when I was living in Vancouver, I went to New York and we did a 6-week sit in New York. Beautiful apartment on 5th Avenue and 93rd Street. And I mean, I was there for 6 weeks looking after 2 dogs and a cat, and one was a geriatric dachshund, and she was absolutely adorable. But we used to use pee pads for her. And I'm telling this because it's a funny story, because if you've ever seen a dachshund use a pee pad, when they get their front paws on, they actually think they're on the pad. But actually, because they're long, they're not quite on the pad. But I mean, and she was they were just lovely. But 6 weeks in New York to rent an apartment for 6 weeks on 5th Avenue. And yes, we were there for those 6 weeks with these 2 adorable dogs and a cat, and we had an amazing time. And those pet parents, those owners, now live in San Diego, and I've been back 6-7 times. And actually, I should have been in San Diego now. I was in Washington State when the COVID just, it got out of hand, and I had to make a dash from Seattle back to London. But these friends who now live in San Diego, I've looked after all of that, and they now have another puppy. And this is what is so special about it, because, as I say, you go back and the animals remember you every single time you go.
That's amazing, and it's true. It's really true. We've met animals. We circle back around, and maybe we've met the dog a couple times, and they'll remember us. We just had that happen to us, not long ago. And Nancy and I are like, this is bizarre. They remember us, and we remember them, and they are like that's that family. But I'm excited because, as I was saying, taking my friend's kid out to a park, you're seeing this whole other world, and I feel like that's what we're going to see. Taking the dog out, we kind of look in a different perspective. And I think that's important for us humans to do, is to kind of look at a different perspective. You got to think about you taking a dog walking out on a summer day, take him where it's green and grassy. I'm on this thing about we need more dog parks in the world, and places where dogs can have soft green places to go. I think they're just as important as humans having parks. Our dogs having areas to go. So how fast when you go out and you're pet sitting, Angela, when you go to a dog park, like you really have to build some a rapport with the dog before you go here. You can go free and play with the other dogs. You need to know that they'll come, and you've built something up with them, right? Just a little bit when you get started.
Yeah, I mean, you do, but you know what? There's that saying that if your dog doesn't trust somebody, don't trust that person.
Exactly.
Now, when we go into a home, I can guarantee that within minutes, the first thing I do when I go into a home to meet a dog for the first time, or any animal for the first time, I let them come to me. I don't overwhelm them and go to them. And the first thing I do with the dog is sit on the floor, and I sit on the floor and I let them come to me. Yeah. And the other thing that the pet parents will tell you they'll give you all the information about the animals. But sometimes they overlook things because they know their animals so well. So sometimes they might not tell you, but you learn that. And the other thing too is they get the animal is confident with you. You're confident with them. And I never ever let a dog off the leash unless I'm completely the area is completely secure. Even if an owner tells me to, my choice is no. I keep them on the leash, but I make sure they get all the exercise they need, either in the garden or somewhere like that. But when you go to dog parks, you know, if you can tell, I mean, you just know, and you then take the time to actually bond with those animals and get to know that you're with them 24 hours a day. And you soon get to learn their little habits and their idiosyncrasies. And what the owners do before you go is we have something called a welcome guide, which is in their account. They fill that out, and in that guide, it's got a checklist on everything, and that they tell you all the details of the animals, feeding times, habits, everything they like, what they don't like, so that you've got that information there. But prior to even going, you have these conversations, and so it's all about, you know, trust and getting there, and the animals trust you, and before you know where you are, they're sleeping in your bed. You know,
Yay!
And I remember one in particular. This was in Vancouver, and this little dog was called Stella, and she was a puppy mill rescue, and she'd been in a puppy mill for 4 years. She'd been in a cage her entire life, and it took Val, who adopted her, 4 months to get anywhere near her. And then she was going away on a cruise, and she said, you know what, I'm going. I don't really want to. But I was living in Vancouver. I went 4 or 5 times, and we walked around the block with Stella, and I sat with Stella. And then the day that Val went away, I went there before Val left. And it took me 2-3 days to be able to get the leash on Stella. But I went on the floor, and I went underneath her. I didn't go over her. And in 3 days, and Val says she's never slept on anybody's bed. In 4 days, she was sleeping on my bed. And it's just, they know, they really do.
Yeah. I can't wait. I'm so excited. Nancy and I both, we're like, and it's just this magical connection. And I think the people that you're connecting with from, you know, just my immediate experience, being with you, Angela, then Nancy, people are really nice, and they love to travel, and they understand that, and they like things like plants and animals, and they have that caring nature. So I think this is a very cool, I don't know, man. Nancy and I are like all excited.
We're
Judy,
excited. Yeah.
Judy, we're gonna meet up on pet sitting, you know, pet walk somewhere in the world.
I definitely think we should do that. I'm looking forward to it.
You never know where you could be. I mean, you're in Spain. I mean, you are all over the world. It's actually really fun just to do that, because then it's like when you live in another country, the way to travel to us is we ended up living in places. So this is a net.
I know. Talk about slow travel.
Yeah, this is a whole other dimension. I never thought about this before, and I'm so glad, Angela, to have gotten to know you here and learn more about this.
Thank you. And you know, the other thing too is when people are considering and looking this and thinking that it's going to be something for them, there is a huge responsibility, we know. But when you're thinking, and some people think, oh my goodness, I don't want to get on a plane and I don't want to go to another country. This is an amazing way of discovering your own backyard and your own country. I mean, when I was in the UK for a number of years, I mean, I did 2 sits that were 8 miles apart in different villages in Suffolk, which is on the east coast of the United Kingdom. And I mean, it cost me a gallon of gas to get between one and the other. And the first one was with a cat in a beautiful thatched cottage, like chocolate box. And the next one was with a collie. And that's where I first sat chickens. And I never sat chickens. And you know what? They are the most fascinating. They are really, really fascinating. So you can have amazing experiences closer to home. You don't have to go off around the world. It's it's brilliant. There's something for everybody.
I agree. And thank you so much for joining us. And the platform is really cool, everyone. If you go to TrustedHouseSitters.com, you can meet Auntie Angela, or should I say Auntie Angela, over and you could meet her on there. You'll see her nice video. She'll tell you all about it and encourage you to look around and get to learn more, because really the one thing I do want to say also for, the pet parents, as we were saying, not pet owners, pet parents, I like that. Really, Nancy and I, as we travel, especially because we do a lot of parks and national parks, a lot of times people end up with their pets stuck in the car, not realizing you can you can't bring your pet into a specific national park, and they end up in like a pet cage thing outside, and the park department will try and help and take care of them, but it's not as, let's just put it, it's not as ideal as your dog being at home. Some animals are able to travel and cool, but there's this other side of, and also taking care of your house, especially in the summer right now. You know what? Things happen, and the world is changing, and I'm not trying to be grim or anything, but things happen when you leave a house alone for a number of days or months, and it's not necessarily a good thing. And we've heard all kinds of stories from friends, and that's why we ended up just saying we're not going to worry about it. We're just going to go on the road 100%. So it's really good to have someone there. It's kind of a protection thing, and if a faucet decides to blow off one day or something, someone's there and can call the right person. So it's taking care of your furry friends and your leafy friends, but also having someone around if something just all of a sudden decides something's going to happen, and things happen in homes. So it's a good thing.
Yeah, they sure do.
Yeah, they do. I know.
Yeah, we know.
So TrustedHouseSitters.com is a place to go. And thank you so much, Angela. I'm sure this won't be the first and last time at all that we'll chat with you. We're gonna have to tell dog stories soon, or chicken stories.
I hope so.
I want some horse stories.
Oh
yes.
I've got one for you, but there's not time to tell it. But I've got a really good one for you. But and have I got time to tell this? It'll take 2 seconds.
Yes, please do. Yeah,
right.
I want to hear it.
It was when I was in Spain doing the house sit, because what a lot of us do when we're on long-term sits is we look for places to volunteer at, and we volunteer while we're there. And I looked for a horse rescue center to volunteer at, because horses are my passion as well. And I thought, if I go for horses, I won't come home with a load of dogs and cats. Because I can't really take a horse home in my suitcase. So I went and I found this charity just outside of Malaga, Arch, and 2 days after I started to volunteer, we brought in 2 Welsh mountain ponies that were in such a bad condition. Long story short, I fostered both of them, and one of them is now in the UK here, and we're finding her a home. And I've adopted them, and so there you go. So that's my horse story.
I love
amazing.
That. I love that.
Well,
too.
I think just about every animal that we've ever had for ourselves was a rescue animal, including 2 horses that we had in Africa, and we learned to ride basically in Africa, which is different than how people ride horses here. Yeah, it's very different.
Different than England.
But, yeah,
well,
absolutely.
It's
up, down, up, down.
Hosting it's called.
Well, thank you, Angela. It's been a real pleasure, and we can't wait to see you more around the community as we get involved in this and Trusted House Sitters. And this is really, I know it's gonna completely change how we've been traveling for the last 8 years. So thank you.
Well, thank you for inviting me, and enjoy the rest of your festival over the next 3 days, and no more technical issues, I hope.
I hope
so
not.
too.
I've got a whip out, and I don't use that whip on anything other than technical drama, so it doesn't really hurt anybody or anything. All right, you take care.
Thank you so much.
Summer.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.